so glad we could talk again, Anastasia. Had a lot of fun talking Phantom of the Opera. And did you do, I forgot if you answered it. Did you get to do that show at that venue, the Phantom of the Opera one?
No, it got a little too complicated, and my producing partner kind of backed out a little, and so it was a little too hard for me to do everything on my own. So I had to
Yeah.
back out of that one too.
Oh,
But that's
us-
okay. I'll do it sometime when I have some time.
which, Anastasia, glad you decided to join us, talk about a classic film. I can't think of a better crew here to talk about classic films, especially you.
This
Yeah,
one?
look at that. Oh, look at
This one
that.
right
Same
here?
version I've used.
Yeah, you and Joe are very kindred spirits for sure, Anastasia. Joe consumes a lot of classic, like 30s movies. He's always posting to us going, hey guys, check this one out. And we're like, cool.
What's the thing?
Never
My
heard of
roommate
it.
will come home and I'll be watching like some random movie from like 1932. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
But thank you, Anastasia. Before we dive into the uninvited real quick, you're real busy right now. You're shooting a film, aren't you? Or were?
I, well, I'm gearing up and I'm
You're gearing up.
prepping for a new film. Yes, Ghost Executioners 3, and I play evil studio head boss bitch Morcona, and she's ready to make some deals and, cut some heads off.
You playing an evil person? I don't know.
I
That's
know, kind of
that's
outside of my wheelhouse, but you know.
well, I mean, Bloody Bridget was great. It looks like is that still running on the festival circuit or?
We've kind of pulled back a little bit on that. We're working on a couple fun projects for Bloody Bridget. We're working with Bloody Bridget producer Brian Usna and coming up with like a horror hostess show, kind of like the Crypt Keeper meets Elvira, so that's going to be fun. And then we're also working on a project called Scream Queens, where it's an anthology film and Bloody Bridget like bookends.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, yeah. So right now we're we're finding like short films that are already out there. Like the problem with short films is like they do maybe a little bit of a festival run and then they
Right.
go and they die somewhere.
Hmm.
And I don't know about you guys, but I've been on the jury on a lot of different film festivals and I see some killer short films and I want to see them again. And so right now I'm like using all of my little bit of power to get those my favorite short films that like feature like kick-ass women. And so I'm trying to get all of those and put them into like an anthology film, the ones that fit.
That's a great idea. I love shorts. I don't get to see nearly enough of them, but when I do, that's always my big kind of heartbreak at the end. Like I don't know where this is going to end up. Even things that win the Oscar, it's usually a calling card to something else. But as far as the film itself, like, oh, this person won the Shorts Award 6 years ago. Great. Where is that movie? I don't know.
Yeah, shorts. I always support shorts on my channel, and I just got back last week from the Midwest Weird Fest, a Night of Horror International Film Festival by Dean Bertram up there, and I saw some cool shorts. One of them was Brickman, which was set in the '80s, which a kind of a nerdy girl gets picked on a lot, so she summons a demon through Lego bricks and sends it to go after to get revenge. And it's wonderful. And then there was another one too, Blossom Needs a Ride Home, which is hilarious. It's this final girl who's Blossom, and you catch up at the beginning of the short with her fighting the main killer. And it's like what happens to the final girl after she's done in the woods
Mhm.
dispatching the kill. What does she face? And so we see her meet these challenges trying to get a ride and the characters she meets. But I love shorts too. I'm with you, Anastasia. They tell their story, they get in, they get out, and I really love what they usually have to say because there's a lot of creativity in them, for sure.
Yes, we got to support all of the filmmakers.
Well, the thing is, unless you become like a David Lynch or a Martin Scorsese, where like you get Criterion putting your shorts out, they kind of just disappear. So yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, or Netflix, right?
Yeah,
Or Netflix did with Wes Anderson a couple
Like,
of years ago.
yeah.
yeah, and David Lynch. I think what did Jackdo or something like that, the one with the monkey.
Yeah.
Do you remember
Yeah, what
that?
Jackdo was the little monkey one, which is great.
It's so kooky. Oh man, I miss David Lynch and his like weird commercials too. Have you ever seen like his PS3 or whatever it was? The like it was like a video game commercial
Oh
or
yeah.
like a PlayStation. It was something like that, but it was so weird.
Yeah, it's fun to see the creatives take this weird approach. I saw a few weird ones during the fest too, so it was like ones that you're just sitting there going, "This is amazing. I'm not sure what I'm getting out of it, but this is amazing."
Exactly. Yeah, right now I'm just trying to remember all of the weird ones or the ones that were memorable and then
Right.
trying to figure out like decipher, oh, what film festival was that? And right now we're talking to like our friends at Etheria Film Festival, Heidi Honeycutt, and just trying to get our hands on all these like little films. Which
That's
is funny because I've been like on their jury for, I don't know, 10, 12 years. And so I've seen a lot of films and just like trying to go back on their like back catalog has been like really interesting and kind of like a trip down memory lane. Because you know,
uh,
there's those ones that just stick with you. Like I
oh
still
yeah.
remember that like my favorite ones from years ago.
Yeah, some of those shorts really stick and some foreign cinema gets some really good shorts as well. There was one, I forgot the name of it, but it was about a substitute teacher who is at a Catholic school, and the kids are all pick on her and everything, but she ends up getting possessed by a demon. But the demon still runs the class, but things take a very graphic, bloody turn. But it was wonderfully crafted, and yeah, shorts are great.
There's
And
one that's stuck with me from now like close to 15 years that I saw at a film festival in Philadelphia called An Evening with My Comatose Mother.
oh
That
wow.
was a lot of fun and a lot of great horror effects as this woman is brought into a house to take care of this elderly woman who seems to be on death's door, but she's possessed by a demon, and it's a lot of fun.
We've all been there, right?
Yeah,
Right.
Like typical Tuesday.
Can't tell you how many times I've been just, sitting there feeling bad, and all of a sudden I'm possessed by a demon. And
It happens to the best of us.
yeah, but then it makes me do housework. I don't understand that, but that's okay. You know. But tonight we've also gathered here to talk about a classic film. And full disclosure, I did this specifically so we could talk once again to the wonderful Anastasia, because I come up with these films to talk about on my program, and then I know the love Anastasia has for classic films, and there are films that I want to visit too, because some of them I either haven't watched in the ages or at all. And tonight we're talking about The Uninvited, which the jazz guy in me really appreciates this film. But let's see, who would like to do the synopsis? Anastasia, would you be able to do the synopsis for The
Oh
Uninvited?
no. I'll let somebody else do it.
All right, Joe, you're our synopsis man then.
All right. Trying to remember the character's name, so I'm just gonna go with Ray Milland because I'm blanking on the character.
Rick,
Rick, and his sister's name I do not remember.
Pam.
Pam.
All right.
See, that's why we have Anastasia here. She's
I'm
like,
terrible at this already. And
No,
I've
you're
actually
great.
I've actually done a stage performance of this too, so I should have remembered it because I sat through like weeks of it. But yeah, Rick and Pam are on a hike along the mountains. They come up upon this beautiful abandoned home. Their dog Bobby, I remember the dog's name, chases a squirrel into the house. And getting in to fetch the dog, they find that the house is just absolutely magnificent on the inside with gorgeous cliffside views of the ocean. And they decide they need to buy it. Well, Pam decides we need to buy it immediately. Rick wants to talk it over. She's like, no, life-changing decisions need to be made immediately and without thought. So they go by the home of the owner. They find out that it is for sale. They meet the commander and his granddaughter Stella. Stella is very attached to the house and does not want to sell it. but the commander decides that the $1,200 that they're offering for the house, for this gorgeous mansion, is enough to put away to secure that his granddaughter could have a decent life. God, I wish it were still true. Um, it's a couple days go by, and Stella runs into Rick in the streets. She apologizes for her behavior. They kind of go sailing for a little bit. They kind of start to fall in love a little bit. Rick goes away to England, and when he comes back in the middle of the night, he's awakened by a woman crying. He checks on his sister. It's not his sister. His sister says it's also not the housekeeper. So where is this wailing and crying coming from? And I think this might be a good point to open it up, because now we've gotten to our supernatural aspect of it. So
we get to the creepy parts, and things just get a bit spooky from there. And this did actually get an Academy Award, I believe, for cinematography.
It deserves it.
And
beautiful.
you watch this film, it's gorgeously shot. But Uninvited, Anastasia, remember when you first watched this, and how do you feel about the Uninvited?
How do I feel about the Uninvited? Oh man, it could possibly be my favorite ghost tale.
Mm.
You know, I'm trying to, I always blank when people ask me to do like my top whatever. It's so difficult and takes so long for me to choose, but I'm pretty sure this is my favorite ghost tale. When did I see it? I don't know. I feel like my childhood is kind of like, I've forgotten a lot, but I'm guessing it was rented, maybe. I'm trying to think, because it's like we didn't have streaming, obviously. I mean, I don't want to date myself, but it wasn't totally readily available. But I know I grew up with it, because I'm still shocked to hear when nobody knows what's the Uninvited, And so I have to like sit them down, and we have to talk for like 4 hours so that they leave fully understanding how amazing this film is and how underappreciated it is. So I'm guessing we rented it or we got it from the library. I have no idea, but I definitely grew up watching this film. So yeah, how about you guys?
Ian, what about you? First time?
I'll go last.
Jill?
Sometime in the 90s. Has everyone here seen Fade to Black with Dennis Christopher?
No.
No? Nobody?
No.
There's a scene early
I'm familiar with it, but
I've got to write
seen
that down now.
Well, he opens the movie. He's a teenager laying in bed, and he's circling the movies he wants to see on TV Guide. And that was me in the 90s.
Okay, so yeah, maybe it was on TV, like TCM or something like that.
For me, I know it was the Sci-Fi Channel, because I remember I was fast forwarding through commercials, and Sci-Fi Channel used to air a lot of these older 1930s and 1940s movies at like 2 a.m. But one night I'd stayed up, I'd watched House on Haunted Hill, and I'm like, oh my God, these movies are fun. And I just started like trying to track down every one of them that I could. So I started like scouring the TV Guide and going, oh my God, okay, let's look at that one. Oh, The Uninvited was one that stood out to me. So I think I set my VCR. Yeah, I definitely set my VCR, because I watched it like a day or two later. And I remember, oh man, I hope that doesn't show up. I'm getting like emails and
No,
texts.
you're good.
Okay. But I remember coming back from school or something and putting it in, and I remember fast forwarding through the commercials. I remember just falling completely in love with this movie. And there is this kind of ethereal charm to it. And Anastasia's saying that it's probably her favorite ghost movie. It might be the first one to like actually treat the ghosts as real, because I'm thinking back to a lot of the earlier movies, a lot of ghost story films that I'd seen, and I don't remember any of them before this actually, because there's always a reveal at the end where whatever's going on is caused by a human.
Yeah.
And in this case, it is not. I mean, the humans are the bad guys, but and also looking back now, I could see how much this influenced other movies like The Ghost of Mrs. Muir. I could see how it influenced The Lady in White.
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the tropes of ghost stories now, I think, originated here, because I really cannot think of another earlier ghost story where it actually did turn out to be a supernatural entity that was there. It was always explained away somehow.
It was always Scooby Doo of sorts.
In a way, yeah.
Or comedies. I've seen a couple articles about this to where they said they appreciate this film because this is one of the ones where it handled ghosts a little bit more seriously than in previous portrayals. Because, like you said, either they're revealed or they're comedic relief, but nothing like serious, like your dead mother, and and it's an actual like serious story about murder and mystery and such, and
jealousy and
jealousy
and all that stuff.
I will say, if anyone had bothered to accurately adapt Wuthering Heights, like the 32 version, that they would have preceded this film, because that is very much a ghost story, but they all focused on the romance between Kathy and Heathcliff.
I mean, even when I think of like movies like Rebecca, which have like kind of like the ghostly like undertones to them, it's still not really a ghost story.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really struggling to think of it. I can't think of any that precede this one. I'm sure somebody will, and they'll comment, and I might have seen it and then just forgotten because maybe it wasn't done as well.
Yeah, you're gonna say something, Hannah?
Oh, yeah, no, I didn't want to like step on anybody's heels. No, you guys are taking all of my talking points. I'm going to have nothing to say later.
Well, I'm going to shut up and let her leave.
No, it's fine. I was gonna bring up Rebecca because I mean, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but a little tease is that this film, The Uninvited, was intended for Alfred Hitchcock, but he had Rebecca, and so he didn't want to do like double dipping. Because it is very, to me, it's the most Hitchcockian film not directed by Hitchcock himself. It feels like, I mean, I know this is, the director, is it Lewis Allen? Yes.
Lewis Allen, yeah.
It's his debut film, but it's kind of, I feel like it's a masterpiece, but also knowing that it was prepped for Hitchcock, I wonder how much he just stepped into the position. You know what I mean? Like how much he was involved with the prep and stuff, if you get my drift.
Oh, yeah.
Because like this is such, to me, it's such, from beginning to end, it's so dense. There's so much story. I can't be on my phone. I can't look away. If I look away for like 1 minute, I'm already lost. I've lost like crucial plot points in the film, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyways, I think it's Ian's turn.
No, not at all. We do that all the time here, but you're right. Especially in the last third of the film, it just blows. You've got to pay attention because you're like, whoa, okay, they're coming at you with a lot.
Yeah, and to imagine that people were only seeing this in the cinema is astounding. Like I would have to like see it 3 or 4 times back to back to really like grip on everything that they cover because it's so jam packed.
Yeah. So Ian, what do you got?
Mark, have you given your thoughts on this one?
Huh? I guess I can give my thoughts. I really enjoy it quite a bit. It's
when did you see it the first time?
All the way through yesterday. So
oh wow.
I know.
What?
Yeah, I know. I've heard of it. I've seen bits of it because being into jazz, especially when I was younger, playing in jazz band and that, and Stella by Starlight, and that was one of the standards. Miles Davis, So I watched bits and pieces like the musical parts of it, but I've never seen the movie from end to end. And when I watched it, I really enjoyed it. It moves a little bit slower in spots than I expected. I thought maybe there'd be a little bit more creepy stuff, but when they do the creepy stuff, like the special effects in that, I was really surprised by like the ghost effects. Yeah. Especially one of those final shots we get of Mary. It's like I'm looking at that going, that literally looks like the ghost from Ghostbusters. I mean, it looked that good, and I'm like, wow, to do that. And then they got the other tropes, the banging doors, the page flipping and all of that, and when you think of it being 1944, you're like, Yeah, they're doing some fun stuff in here. That's the spooky stuff, and especially when you first hear that crying in the dark hall, I thought was really effective actually. So yeah, I mean, I dig it. It's you could almost tell though it was almost like they were afraid to lean too much into the horror though. I mean, we've got the murder mystery and the horror, the spooky aspects, but you do have a little bit of that comedy and lighter fare, especially like when they're in the boat. You know.
It's funny the stuff you're talking about, like with the banging and all that
Yeah.
stuff. That's stuff that like 20 years later, The Haunting is lauded for. Like it came up with it. Meanwhile, this movie's right there, and you can go watch it. And it's 20 years before, and they do a lot of the same things.
Yeah, to your point, Mark.
Yeah.
So funny little fact, that the director didn't want any visual of the ghost. So that was all done by the studio at the end. So he wanted it to be more like elusive and not really have um
The form.
that
Yeah.
that ex yeah, he didn't want to see it. So that's kind of interesting. And also I was watching and I was like, "Oh my God, I feel like there's so many scenes that are like very ghosty." And like, did they have to do reshoots? Like, what are they doing? And is the director like just like fuming, But this is like old school Hollywood and where, the studio heads just ran the world.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you were just
That's
kind of a number, in the cattle.
I mean, that's a very interesting point because that's immediately why I thought, Anastasia, when that was brought up, is the climactic scene, and this is again the spoiler room, so be warned, where Rick is on the stairs holding the candelabra, and it's a wide shot, and we see the ghost of Mary at the top of the stairs. It's very much a confrontation. I can't imagine how ridiculous that would have looked if he's just like standing there yelling at nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just literally a blank space that is begging for something to be inserted into it. So, yeah, I don't know if that was like reshot or if that was just the original intent and a wise studio executive said, we can't release this. We have to put something over there.
Exactly. I would say generally I want the director to have final say. I want to see the director's vision. But in this one case, I am going to be on the side of the studio because I love the effects and what you guys were all saying. They are so killer and they hold up to this day. I was asking, I have like a lot of friends in the entertainment business, and my friend Kevin Kuchever, he's a remarkable visual effects artist. And I was trying to like pick his brain, like, how did they achieve this? And he was thinking that maybe it was like a Pepper's ghost effect or something like that, which is like kind of popular right now. You're seeing it like on social media and stuff, but I'm not 100% sure. And I'm kind of trying to pressure another release of this film because I don't think we've gotten one since like 2014, and we need like a Blu-ray. We need some love on this film, Like I want a full deep dive and
What, if you can tell us, what is a Pepper's ghost effect? I feel like I've heard that, but I don't know what that entails.
it's some kind of like back projection. It's some weird projection method, and I am not in the as much as I'd love to be one day when I have some free time, I guess. I don't know that much about visual effects. I'm more of a practical effects gal, so I could tell you about like blood rigs or something like that, but I can't speak too much on that. But that's what my friend Kevin was saying, that it could be that.
Well, I
So
mean,
some
that's
kind
the
of projection that they would record on a studio, like rear projection, and then later on they would put it on, I'm guessing the film, itself.
okay.
So I don't know if he was, if Rick, the character, was actually dealing with anything. Probably not, in the scene. That just speaks to how great of an actor he is.
Right. I mean, that's the cool thing about it is, well, I mean, I just watched a version of it on I think Internet Archive that I was able to find. So it wasn't that great a quality, which kind of I think helps when it comes to old movies. Sometimes that haziness helps the illusion, but it didn't look like it was an effect that it was inserted or any kind of projection. It was pretty seamless, which helps with that kind of magical effect of watching something in 2026 that was done again almost 100 years ago and wondering, no, seriously, how did they do that? Especially, Mark, you brought up Ghostbusters. I think that's a perfect comparison with the apparition in the library at the beginning.
Mhm.
But in this movie, what they do is very clever is it initially shows up as this very thick, kind of like almost a cigarette smoky, ropey mist that insinuates form but doesn't quite get there. But then by the end, we've got the full manifestation of Mary's face in that smoke, and it's great. Yeah. My favorite trick, honestly, I rewound this a couple of times to look for the string. I don't know how they did this, but it's when they were having this seance on the table where the upside down wine glass, whatever it is, flies up, gets
Mhm.
yanked into the air at the end, because that was really cool.
Yeah, it might be a port glass. It was a smaller glass, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what it
Yeah,
was.
Yeah.
They were holding their hands on it, but it flew up and yeah,
Smashed into the fireplace. So
yeah.
yeah, I dug it. I liked it quite a bit. It made me go, why am I not watching more classic films? While it wasn't like completely blown away, because like I said, there were lighter moments than I was kind of expecting, a little bit more spooky stuff, but I still loved it. But it's like, man, I gotta watch more older movies. I'm just like, I forget how much I love watching older films until I start watching them again, and then I'm like, oh man.
We do have this conversation every time you watch something from like the 30s and 40s. Like, man, I need to watch more of these. Yes, we all do.
Yes, I would say the perfect situation to watch this film would be at night when everything's kind of quiet, and then if you have a fireplace, we do, and that's when it gets very eerie and spooky because of those slower quiet moments. They just, the eeriness and the dread just kind of manifest. And I know the last time I watched it in that way, because it totally affects the way that you experience the film, I feel like, versus like doing it during the day when like, everybody's walking around and your phone's interrupting you. But I feel like this is one of those films that you have to give it its due respect to really appreciate, it to the fullest. In my opinion.
You just stole one of my talking points. I literally texted that to you guys today. I was watching this movie like 11 this morning, and I'm like, shit, I should have watched this in the middle of the night last night. It would have just enhanced the eeriness of it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was like the same way. I'm like, oh, you know what? I bet you this would be great in like a dark theater with a bunch of people who've never seen it before, never seen like ghosts too much, and then you're just like, that had to be so much fun back in the day to experience that.
And also to what Ian said, I watched a DVD from the Criterion Collection, not the Blu-ray. So, excuse me, there were points where it was really, really dark in places when you have Ray Milland walking around the house or Pam walking around the house, and it sucks you in because I feel like a Blu-ray would kind of blow it out too much. I don't know if that's
I was just thinking, because when I was watching it, I always am upset because it's so, I don't know, it's like it's a digital grain. It's not like a good film grain, And so like in the beginning when it opens up and it's the ocean, we're looking at the waves. It's always on my version, which is like the Criterion Blu-ray. I thought it was the DVD because of this, but it's always like very grainy, like a digital grain, where the waves kind of look blocky, like a Minecraft,
Yeah,
which I hate. But I need them. I'm on the warpath. I need them to release a new version. I am happy to go through anybody's back catalog, find all the elements. I'm happy to do the research. This is my fun. I love deep dives. I love research. So if anybody at Criterion is watching, we need a new one. It's been so long. This one was released in 2014. That's
something
too long.
like that.
Yeah.
That's too long.
That
And we
is.
need more I know they don't do behind the scenes, but I'm sure that there could be like a little mini documentary or something like that done,
Oh, you could probably find directors or whatnot who've seen this to do interviews with them about what their thoughts about.
Yeah, unfortunately,
film
not going to
is.
find anybody who actually made it. They're all
Well, unfortunately, no. But speaking of opinions, Mr. Simmons, we didn't get to yours yet. The Uninvited.
Well, I feel like I'm going to be uninvited from the rest of the show,
Oh,
which
no.
is totally
Oh,
fair.
Uh-oh.
I experienced this for the first time today. I watched it during the daylight, but I had this same experience of watching it at night because I kept nodding off. This is a movie that should have been a short. It also should have been an email, one that I would not have read. Now, this falls into the category of films that I acknowledge were probably groundbreaking and are important, but not particularly good. And I think, Mark, the problem I have with your with the film, it goes back to something you said. And this might be the stepping out onto the ledge, breaking out of the comedic genre and stepping more into horror, those kind of hangover elements from the other genre. This movie is too damn goofy. It is a weird, uncomfortable romantic comedy that has too much comedy in it. And every time we start to get into something spooky or horrific, there's practically a slide whistle or a weird misunderstanding or, oh, we got to duck down into the car. My dad's walking down the street. And at the end, there's that whole thing of like, she could have been my mother-in-law. Da, 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 da. I'm like, no, not at all. I don't like this movie. I appreciate that there are people who appreciate it, and I totally get what everybody is saying, but there's a reason I feel like I've never heard of this film before, and I know they've remade it, or at least there's a movie that
There's
a couple
many
movies that come out
movies.
with the same
Yeah,
names
they
in
aren't.
somewhat
Yeah,
recent years. I don't know if they're any good or if they lean
no.
too much into the terrible 2000s horror remakes.
That's not a remake of this. The
No.
2009 Uninvited. I was actually disappointed because I went to see with Elizabeth Banks. I went to see it in the movies, thinking it was a remake of this. I was
I
like, "There's
did
not
too.
even-
I was so mad. I walked out and got a refund. I was like, fuck this.
It's actually
Get
a
me
remake
out
of
of here.
It's actually a remake of the South Korean film A Tale of Two Sisters.
Oh.
Well, now I feel bad. But anyways,
Completely different movie.
younger me was really pissed. Probably
you
Ian's
had seen it back
response
then.
to.
You had seen it even before 2009 then, so you do go way back with this movie.
Yeah.
No, and
I said, I grew up with it. So
and those are the fundamentals. Those are the building blocks. I think one of the problems I have, and it is, it's a subjective thing, is I've seen a lot of the movies that this movie, to Joe's point, is probably responsible for. And I think in those cases, when you have a foundational work that lasts 80 years, you're going to have films that improve upon it in a lot of ways and kind of like streamline and cut off some of the fat. I mean, I thought the characters were charming initially, but it almost becomes, His Girl Friday meets The Haunting. And, the character relationships are a bit too convenient. Plus, I'm sorry, I know there's a lot of density and stuff in the screenplays you were talking about, but none of it was material to the story at all. It's just more words and more business to build the illusion that there's more going on. It turns out there's a guy who had an affair with the maid, essentially, had an illegitimate daughter, and the wife was pissed, and then that's the ghost. I mean, when at the seance, when Stella started speaking Spanish, I'm like, I know, yeah, I get it. She's not Mary's daughter. And then the movie was over for me. Except I had another hour plus to watch.
Mark, when you asked if other people could join, I didn't know you were bringing a hater.
Well, we gotta have some opposing views, so
Not on my interview. We love The Uninvited, okay?
Now, that's a very good point, because it is based on a novel. This movie made me want to read the novel, because in many of the points where they were having this kind of kooky romantic stuff, their dialogue,
Okay.
I tuned out the performances and I was listening to the dialogue, and the dialogue felt as if something I would read in a novel on a page delivered by adults who weren't involved in a weird romantic comedy movie. It was a very otherworldly kind of experience.
I'm so sorry you didn't like this film.
I am too.
think it's
I
such
spent
a
an hour and 40
masterpiece,
minutes
and
with it
feels
today.
like we're taking this thing a different way that I wasn't expecting. I've never met anybody that like despises the film.
I don't despise it. I'm apathetic towards it. You know, I watched it and I don't think I'll think of it again unless I read the novel, which I probably will.
Well, that's okay. What's your favorite film? Let's go positive.
That's an impossible and unfair question to ask a film critic.
Today, what's your favorite film? Because it's not The Uninvited.
My favorite film today is probably my favorite film of the last 10 years, and that's RRR by S.S. Rajamouli.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's a fun one. That's definitely a fun one. But I have to, Anastasia. This is why we have Ian on here, though, because he gives counterpoints, and it causes some.
And sometimes we agree, Mark.
We do sometimes agree. We do sometimes agree. But
hey, we all love Pan's Labyrinth.
we all loved Pan's
That was
Labyrinth.
unanimous.
Absolutely.
Yes, the four of us love Pan's Labyrinth. I can agree with that.
There you go. So we have an agreement there. But yeah, The Uninvited, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I thought it was funny with it being a piece of its time because he goes on a boat in a full suit. He goes sailing in this full suit. And I'm just like, dude, I'm getting hot just watching that, But I mean, I know it's a thing of its time, and he just decided, hey, let's go on a boat. And I'm like, not exactly dressed for that, dude. And then he gets.
I think you had to wear a suit no matter what you were doing if you were a man in the 1940s or 50s.
You must have. You must have, for sure. I did think a very interesting aspect of this story is it opens with a brother-sister.
Yeah.
Because especially some classic films, especially with the way this story is, you would think it'd be the married couple or whatnot. But we actually stick with the brother-sister dynamic, throughout. And I appreciated that too. I was like, okay, this is different, but then you enter and you're like, okay, so who's going to be the love interest? And they enter in Meredith, but they don't really give Pamela a love interest. It's kind of hinted at with the doctor.
Yeah, they do. The doctor definitely that's like
they're arm in arm at the
huge.
end of this movie.
Right, they're
during
arm in
the
arm at the
mother-in-law
end of the
joke.
movie, but we don't get as many scenes, I think, with them together as we do.
I was
Rick
just
and-
gonna say that it just kind of comes out of left field at the end. It just kind of feels like, well, we have to wrap it up. They're a couple now. Well, I guess they should be too.
But I mean, I do like the Pamela character because she just like strong arms her brother into buying this house. She's just like, well, I don't know. He's like, no, we're buying this house. And,
But you're
and
also
then-
setting him up as kind of a pushover because he does fall for Stella pretty easily too. So
yeah,
you do have to kind of set up that the women in his life are able to twist his arm a bit.
One of the more surprised characters, and Anastasia, I want to get your thought on Miss Holloway, who shows up like in the last third of the film all of a sudden, and she's suddenly like this wicked psychiatrist who has a interesting obsession with Mary. What do you think of Miss Holloway?
Well, on in what way? The acting,
Well,
beautiful,
just how her
so psychotic.
How she plays the
Love her
characters, yeah.
chaos. Yeah.
And how she came out of left field. Would you have liked a more setup, or was it is it a fun surprise character to kind of just suddenly, oh look, the commander's got someone else?
Well, I feel like I kind of like not knowing. I generally with films, I don't like being spoon fed. And so I kind of like, little surprise twists and turns. And I enjoyed that she, had this past with that family and that she was the maid. And, I don't want to go too into it, but, I feel like she was in love with Mary Meredith,
Oh, yeah.
and I love that for the time period. And I don't love that they made her a villain though, because she just goes so crazy. But I enjoy those type of films. It so reminds me of Rebecca, which is another one where somebody's in love, and they start spiraling, after their death.
Yeah, her obsession with Mary was a surprise. Just how they portrayed it, I'm like, it's 1944. I'm like, okay.
She was perfect, and her skin was perfect and radiant, and all that stuff. It sounded, yeah.
Well, and the way she looked at the portrait too. I mean, she has a big portrait of Mary in her
It
office.
Yeah, it's so funny when we go to her in the beginning. She's like sitting like Bruce Wayne just waiting for the bat signal. She's like, "Finally, they want me to fix Stella."
And by fix, we mean send her to her death.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, because she has to do that. She's got to check all the boxes.
Well, that was one of the elements that I did enjoy was the end of how this came to solution because once she starts talking to Stella, and Stella earlier has an incident to where she just calmly, swiftly runs towards the edge of the cliff where her mom died, like she's about to jump over before Rick saves her, and she recounts this to Miss Holloway. Miss Holloway's like, you know what? You should go home.
Rick's the one that tells her.
Oh, no, that's right. No,
Because when they come to save her,
yeah,
like,
but Miss Holloway releases her after she talks to her because she wasn't going to release her, and then she talked to her, and then she thought about it, and she's like, "Oh, so you just kind of went into a trance and ran off the edge of a cliff, huh? Yeah, you should go home. We're going to release you. Yeah,
You seem fine. Everything's okay.
that's a good environment to be. We can't do anything more for you. Go on home. Go on."
But, Ian hinted at this earlier during the seance scene where the ghost of Carmen goes into Stella and she starts speaking Spanish. I mean, we're 80 years out from this movie being made. That might have been something that, like, back in 1944, we didn't understand Spanish as well, or there weren't that many people in the audience that understood Spanish as well. Because the minute you hear what she's saying, and your brain starts to translate, oh, the child was stolen from me. It's like, oh, okay.
So maybe they were playing at the fact that people may not have known.
Doing
100%. Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
There was something in there about, she stole from me and all this. I'm like, oh, and I think now, I mean, obviously because I'd seen this movie so many times, I'd already known what the twist was, but I wondered now, as opposed to 1995 or 96, whenever I saw this one, I didn't speak a word of Spanish. If I would have actually, understood it a little more and been like, oh, okay, well, I know the twist.
The twist. They gave the twist right there. One of the things that I liked too with during the seance scene was it's a different layout than you might be used to seeing because everybody's used to seeing Ouija, and Ouija had been around for a long time. And I'm not saying they whip out a Ouija board, but they had the circle with the yes and no. And I really liked that effect when they were talking to her a lot more. And also the way they play it up, because initially Rick and the doctor, they're like, oh, we're just going to hold the seance. It'll help her. We'll act like we're answering for the ghost and it'll be no problem. And then you get that first answer from the spirit where it whips to no, and they both look at each other like, and they don't say it, but they're like, did you do that? And he's like, I didn't do that. Did you do that?
I do like one other thing about the seance session. In a lot of movies now, the characters who are using the Ouija board or whatever is replacing it wait for the whole word to be spelled out. Here they're like C-A-R. Oh, Carmen. They don't wait.
They just jump the gun on it. Absolutely.
Good, because we don't need to sit there and watch it all go like in that way.
Oh, where they spell the entire word out and everybody else already knows what the word is. And then...
Yeah, I'm like, I already know. Fuck, there's still 7 letters. All right.
All right. I'm going to go get some popcorn. So, Anastasia, how do you think about, because I definitely want to get your opinion on this because we're guys. How do you feel like Pamela and the female characters are written? Because it comes up here often, and we've had this discussion to where people say, oh, they didn't write strong female characters. Everybody, until we got like Sigourney Weaver and we got this. And then you look back and you look at some of the older films and you're like, what are you talking about? We've gotten some. So what were your opinion on the female characters, namely like Pamela, how she was written with this? Would you consider a strong female character in this?
I mean, well, the focus really isn't on Pamela, right? So she's just kind of a side character. So it's kind of an unfair
Sure.
example. But I feel like for what we like what the story would allow for her. I thought that it was, pretty decent. She's running the house while her brother's away and she's dealing with these freaking ghosts that won't shut up while she's trying to sleep. Um, and then the other women, we were talking about this like psychiatrist. I'm blanking on
Right.
her name, but she like owns a company and she's running stuff. Um, the granddaughter Stella, her character is supposed to be meek. It's supposed to be, kind of not taken advantage of, but like very controlled by her grandfather, of course. We only get to know, Carmen and Mary. We only get to know them in the past tense, so there's not really that much development other than knowing that she was a model and that they were married and a socialite, like for the two women. So we just hear it in the past tense. I mean, for the time period, I think it's pretty good. Like I said, it's a really dense film, and that's not the super focus. Um, with some of the female characters.
Sure.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
I like Lizzie. I like the housekeeper personally. I thought
Yeah,
she was
she's
a
great.
blast. When you had the ghost thing happen, she's like, "Yeah, I'm staying in this house." And then she was sitting in the chair, and they're like, "Lizzie, what are you doing?" She's like, "Oh no, I'm leaving, but I'm not leaving this chair until I have to go. I'm not going anywhere in this spooky house." But I liked her because her too. She's like the housemaid and plays to that angle of, well, the servants or the folks who might not be as, on a different financial tier or whatever, they talk. And so she got all the dirt on everybody. and I love that aspect of her, but I really like I like the housekeeper as well. But yeah, you're right. I guess it's not quite a fair question. I apologize, but it's just for what screen time we get with the female characters. I think Pamela is fairly strong, especially as she asserts herself over her brother.
I mean, Stella also asserts herself over her grandfather, so
That's true. Eventually, yeah.
Yeah.
she's
I think pretty good for this time period.
Mm-hmm. But
yeah. I mean, obviously, yeah, it'd probably be better written, or they'd be written more strongly nowadays. But yeah.
So I guess for me, one of the final topics to talk about is the music. I mentioned Stella by Starlight showed up here, and it became a very classic jazz piece, been played many times. Miles Davis put it on the map, and everyone's like, wait, where's that from? And he's, it's from The Uninvited. So do you think the music fit most of the situations? Because I've run into this with some of the older films, like, this is a kind of a ghost story, but the way the music opens for the title credits, I'm like, it's this sweeping, lovely music, and I'm like, okay, this isn't putting me in a spooky mood. But what'd you think of the music in here, Joe? We'll start with you.
Well, I mean, these movies at this point, they were kind of seen as like melodramas, so I guess that's why the music would be the way it is for this. But in this case, we should be thankful for it, because Stella by Starlight's a beautiful piece. Although I did notice today, after not having seen the movie in a few years, I think the last time I saw it was airing on Svengoolie, and it was on in a bar, and I was kind of like half watching it. I'm like, oh, The Uninvited, I love this movie so much. I wasn't really able to hear it, but it did sound at times a lot like as time goes by. I noticed there were some notes that were very similar, and it kind of like felt like it was leading up to that, and then just kind of came down from it. But I also love as time goes by. So, but yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's. I think when these movies were made, and Rebecca also is one of them, they were thought of more in a sense of a melodrama than like we're going to like terrify you,
right?
So I think that's why the music is kind of almost like that kind of wistful music, but
it's still beautiful.
I think it does work for it, because I don't think the main purpose of this movie was to like scare the shit out of you. I think the purpose of the movie was to make you kind of fall in love with these characters, and by the end of it, I did like most of them. I did at the end absolutely hate Mrs. Holloway. um, and and to an extent, the grandfather. What did the commander know? And that
Right.
is still, you got the feeling that he might have known that the truth of what happened on the cliff, but I don't think they ever established for a fact that he does.
No, they didn't, but the way he acted was a bit suspicious.
I mean, it's all a cover up, yeah.
It's all a cover up for sure. Yeah. I mean, the fact that she's the not her dad, her dad had an affair and that's where she came from, which I did like that reveal because she's like, they're like, "Oh, how do you feel about this now? Are you feeling?" She's like, "No, it's great. I know who I am now. This is awesome." She's
Yeah,
so
Mary actually was kind of an asshole. So
so she kind of takes it in stride. Anastasia, what about you? You're definitely musically inclined. You're in you're always. I love watching the performances and stuff when you're with your husband and they're playing. What'd you think of the music in this film?
I loved it. I thought it fit perfectly. I
Hmm.
do I see where you guys are talking about, it's not a true like raging horror score, and I get that, but I think in this case, because the film doesn't, it's so light and airy, it doesn't, it doesn't seem forced into that horror genre. And that's what I love about it. I love these twists, these like tonality shifts throughout the film. Like when we were talking about in the staircase when Rick comes back to town and he hears, crying. And then a few moments later, he's like running away, kind of like a Laurel and Hardy gag and jumping into bed. I love those. That's what makes it special to me is that this film is so brilliant to seamlessly change from comedy to light romance to, in some cases for me, because I watch it the correct way in the dark, in the night where nobody can bother me. It scares me. It's a little spooky. But yes, I love the score. I love how much it brings so much life into this film. And
Hmm.
obviously I'm a huge like pro, let's give some focus to the composers and stuff. And I think that Victor Young is such a genius, and to
Hmm.
have, um, you know, a piece from a film go on for like what you guys were talking about with Frank Sinatra and Ella Fitzgerald cover
Hmm.
this. And make it a jazz standard, so it's living outside of an amazing film. But yeah, love the score. So it was so interesting. It's so full.
Hmm.
Um, I found it great.
And that's what I like about the like 40s films and that because they've gotten into the when you're getting to the talkies, some of the earlier films, you have that dead space where you just hear the hiss, because they're recording on a studio and you don't really have anything. And then they started getting more and more into using scores in that to kind of fill up that space. And I like that quite a bit. I'm big on old scores. I think they're gorgeous, they're sweeping. Even if they don't necessarily always fit, I think for me, some of the situations, they're still wonderful to listen to because it's just like they're using the orchestra and you can hear themes. And nowadays, pardon my soapbox, nowadays I feel bad because there are some wonderful scores that get buried under really bad sound mixes or so many special effects that you're like, until you get the score by itself, you're like, oh wow, I didn't hear that part. Where did that come from? Whereas even shit, even 30 or 40 years ago, you got those themes. There's a reason why Silvestri, Horner, Williams, and pardon me for mentioning it, but Danny Elfman, all of those Basil, all those great composers, they stood out because you could hear their score.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, famously, Danny was upset with Burton's mix of his Batman score because of all of the effects, and he walked out on the at the premiere upset. And That's probably all I can say publicly
No, that's
before I get in trouble at the family dinner.
yeah, I don't want to get you in trouble at family dinner. So, but yeah, it is great to hear that music in the forefront on these older films because it gets buried now. I mean, Ian, we've talked about bad sound mix and such to where it's not just music, right? But it's dialogue as well.
Oh
Yeah.
You got to put subtitles on, right? And
Yeah.
not just because of my age, though I am old.
Or good luck seeing it too.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, like they're so dark now. I couldn't even enjoy, what was it? Oh my gosh, there was a big film like a few years ago, and I could hardly see it in the theater.
Mhm.
I'm blanking on the name. Oh, Nosferatu, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't like that version because I couldn't see it. But then once it was released and I rewatched it, I was like, oh, okay. I get it. I finally get it now. But it was so dark. There's all these fun like little memes that I like to these like meme videos that I like to watch with our daughter about like people like trying to brighten their, you know, like for Stranger Things or something like that, and they're like trying to brighten the brightness on the TV to be able to see what's going on because it's so dark.
It's been one of my pet peeves the last like 15 years that they seem to have forgotten how to light a fucking movie now.
I mean, that's something that you don't have in The Uninvited is a lack of clarity. I mean, even in the darkest scenes, you can tell what's going on. I think that's going back to what Anastasia was saying earlier about like the digital grain now. I mean, we're talking about this movie needs a new release. I mean, it's about time for a 4K. And I think depending on who's supervising that transfer, you can probably get a lot of that, maintain the crispness, but not have, too much digital grain or worse yet, crushing in the dark sequences. But yeah, I mean, the one thing I like about this movie is the way that it looks, and I think the Oscar was well deserved. Yeah.
See, there's a positive. We got a positive.
You get somebody like Guillermo del Toro in the booth because he's somebody who loves these older movies, or someone like a Tim Burton, someone like those guys who grew up watching these movies and understand how they're supposed to look and actually have like an affinity for it. Somebody that they also would trust, Criterion would trust. Then yeah, you could have a great transfer of this done with somebody like that supervising it,
Or Anastasia,
or Anastasia.
I was gonna say, yeah, I'm available. I'm in Hollywood. Just let me know, Criterion, or whoever else wants to release it, please.
I think Paramount still owns it. Hey, it's in public domain in like 15 years. Then we can do whatever we want with it.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
There we go.
I think we got a project ahead of us. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up here for the evening with The Uninvited. But Anastasia, this is always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for coming on again to talk about classic films. I love talking about with you for classic films because you're a library of just knowledge that it's like, I wish I had that. You and Joe are kindred spirits for sure, because you guys really watch a lot of those old films, and I appreciate you coming on. And now this is, of course, where you get to shill your stuff. So please, what's you got going on that you can talk about publicly?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know what we have from the beginning, but I have a film I'm starring in. A new horror film, Ghost Executioners 3, producing with my husband, Richard. We're talking about some fun screening events with Brian Usna and then also with my husband in LA. What else? I'm working with Dread Central now. I'm a journalist and, covering fun junkets and stuff. And so I get to use all of my insanity and all of my horror and, film history knowledge now for a purpose instead of, just like wasting space growing spider webs in there. Because I know way too much about, my favorite horror films.
Never know too much. Never know much about your favorite films. Don't get me started on talking about Maximum Overdrive. I'll just say that. Don't get me started.
Oh man, that's a good one.
Yes, I love that one. But yeah,
thank you so much for having me on. Love talking with you and love, these are always fun discussions. And I love being able to promote films that are underappreciated and, kind of forgotten. And that's kind of like, that's my soapbox, as I love talking about those kind of films, because I feel like people need to know the classics and be exposed to these. And, that's kind of part of my thing, is like making them more accessible, and easier. Because I feel like a lot of people, they know, like they're aware of, like, James Whale's like Frankenstein, or, Todd Browning's Dracula, but they've never seen them. And so I like discussing with other, fans about how wonderful they are, and to hopefully spark, the interest to go and deep dive themselves and then get inspired. But yes, thank you so much. This was super fun.
And I really loved your reels when you were showing that collection you had that included freaks, because
Oh man, it was so hard to pick because I was trying to do it with like my idol is Lon Chaney Sr. We share so many similarities naturally, but we also have a birthday coming up April 1st. And so I was looking through my massive Lon Chaney Sr. collection, and it was so hard to pick, just like, because reels, people don't have attention,
Yeah.
they just want to see it quickly. And so to pick like 5 different titles, it was so difficult to narrow it down. I mean, he's not technically in Freaks. We all
No.
know that he sadly passed away before that, but he was eyed for the villain in that film, and then they switched it. But we do have The Unknown.
I was
So
just gonna say my favorite Lon Chaney Todd Browning movie is The Unknown. So
yes,
That's-
isn't it so great?
it's
But there is,
amazing.
if you don't have the box set, they have a wonderful 3-picture Todd Browning with his Lost, The Mystic, which they found, for this obviously. So I still have hope for London After Midnight being found in one of these like vaults or something, or somebody's grandma's basement.
It would have to be, from what I read, it would have to be like in like either Australia or New Zealand at this point, because that's where the prints went at the very end of their run. And if there's an existing print, it's somewhere down there. I hope.
Don't threaten me with a fun time. I'll go investigate anything for Lon Chaney Sr.
I remember like a year ago, there was like just a clip of a Lon Chaney film found in Brooklyn, because somebody like in the 60s had one of those old like 8mm or 16mm little projectors, and this one piece of the film got stuck in there, never got cleaned out. And I don't know how, but this movie wound up being lost, and that little frame is all that remains of that movie now. And I'm like, that's amazing to me.
Oh, wow.
that is crazy. I love when they find bits like that of the old movies in it, but then it also leads you to just how many of those old movies have been lost.
Lost. And also, when the Foxfire happened in 1937, and the police were there at the end of it after the fire department had put it out, and they asked them, anything of value lost? They said, nah, just a couple of old movies. And motherfucker, Theda Bara's like entire library was in there, and the first couple of Charlie Chan movies were in there and have never been found since. So
No, it's insane. I mean, just not to make this about Lon Chaney Sr., but I have a talent, and that's one of them. So a majority of his, catalog is lost.
yeah.
We only have a handful. He did like over, I forget exact, over 100, like it's mostly lost, which is so radical.
Well, at least we get films that we do have, we can appreciate more. And definitely appreciate you coming on, Anastasia. When it goes public domain, or sooner, if you ever got the rights, would you do one of your routines to the Uninvited?
Ooh, like one of my, well, Joni, and they don't know, I'm a classically trained ballerina since age 3, grew up in the theater. I do a lot of public, live performances, kind of like a William Castle meets a Lon Chaney performance. So I do a lot of bloody burlesque. With the Uninvited, I don't know if it would fit. I don't know. I would try to make it fit.
Well, it wouldn't be bloody, but you could probably do spooky.
I could probably fit some blood in there if I tried. It'll be like the 3D version or 4D version.
There you go, the 4D version. I like that.
Oh man. No, I haven't even thought of that. That's so interesting. What an interesting thought. Now my mind's
Now I spark-
spiraling because I choreograph and I do everything for those things. So now, yeah, maybe.
Well, Freaks will be in public domain in 2 years, so you can get started on that.
There you go.
Oh my God, that would be amazing. Yes.
Yeah, you could get someone to play a chicken person. That would be cool. No, just kidding. Person with feathers. There we go. Joe, you got anything to plug?
The first of the 4 specials commissioned by Shudder of the Last Drive-In is going to air on April 24th. Oh, my phone's here and I can't access it because it's I didn't memorize the title yet because they just released the info for it today. It was well, it's going to be the Walpurgis Nacht special. So 2 films. One of them is very goofy. One of them is more modern. So it'll be interesting to see it.
It is sad to see that Shudder, for some reason, shuddering. It's one of its most popular shows, but hey, that's the business, right?
Joe Bob and Darcy will find somewhere else to land. So
they definitely.
And from what I was told, they like my stuff enough that they'll be calling me back. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. And Ian, what you got?
Same old thing. Kicking the Seat on YouTube and also the website and all that good stuff. So that's where I am.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Anastasia. Hope we can do this again sometime. I know you're a very busy person, but I appreciate your time and you coming on. And always a delight to talk to. When we get a chance, maybe we can do this again.
Yes.
Awesome.
I would love to. And I think we have some things cooking too, don't we? Don't we, Mark?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, a couple of things. We got a couple of things, yeah. So thank you very much, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this conversation. Please check out everybody's work, especially Anastasia Bloody Bridget. If you can catch it somewhere, it's a wonderful, crazy, what you would expect from Richard Elfman, and it's beautiful. It's wonderfully crazy. Any word on if you get the sequel?
Well, the sequel's written, and I want to continue with. I mean, it's funny. We've won over 25 film festivals. We've traveled from the south of Brazil to the tippy top of Canada and everywhere in between with our road show, where I do my bloody burlesque and I literally murder somebody in the audience, ripping out their beating heart and eating it live, and then we go into the film. So it's a fun, ultra immersive experience. Yes, I don't want to self-fund the sequel, so we're waiting on that because it's a totally self-funded film. And Danny did the score along with our friend and talented composer Ego Plum. You would know him from SpongeBob or Cuphead. So yeah, the script's ready to go. I'm ready to don the wig and the demon nipple pasties. I'm ready. There's always more naughty people who need, Bloody Bridget, she's the sword of justice, right? So
exactly.
we need to take care of business and get those naughty boys and girls. I mean, I want to see a Bloody Bridget goes to Las Vegas or Bloody Bridget goes to Mars, or meets Frankenstein. That's what I want.
Well, I
want to take over the universe.
You have to wait till like the 3rd or 4th movie, I think, in a franchise to go to the space. That's the way it usually goes, I think.
You know what? I don't know. I think I'm going to do it on the sequel.
Oh, there you go.
Just because I don't like rules.
There you go. Well, thank you much. Hope you all enjoyed this, my listeners. And until next time, we'll just say good night, everyone.